I'm Monica Garcia, President of the LAUSD Board of Education, and welcome to Families Matter. Joining me each month is my co-host, Maria Casillas, the Chief of School, Family, and Parent Community Services, and also joining us today is board member Nury Martinez. Our goal is to provide information so families can help their children graduate. Today's topic is all about developing partnerships and how we must reach out to parents and community members to help fill the budget gap in our schools. Joining us later to discuss these issues are Alex Campo, an assistant principal at Hollenbeck Middle School, where he oversees City Year, and Luis Gomez, who oversees the Parent Center at Hollenbeck. But first, a chance for us to talk about the latest regarding family and parent services. Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Let's hear from Maria. What's new and exciting?
Well, I think what I'd like to pick up on is something that you just introduced, and this is the whole idea that we're talking about partnerships today, and we're talking with people involved in partnerships. And you mentioned how these resources that come help us to diminish the budget gaps that we know are coming, they're looming, they're in the paper every day. And it occurred to me that perhaps we should remind our audience about the importance of attendance, because you just shared some figures with us in the past about how the district has not captured about $10 million just from lack of attendance at school. Mm-hmm. So a while back we did a show on attendance, as you might recall, and we realized how important it is for the student to achieve. They have to be in school. Obviously they can't be absent. But more so in times of budgetary need, what we know is that if you don't come to school, not only will the child, he or herself will suffer, but also the school and the school district will suffer because of financial loss. So you might want to talk a little bit about that and how important that is.
$10 million that we've lost over what course of time? Is it?
In 1 month.
In 1 month, we've lost $10 million.
Can you believe that?
And I think it's really important that you brought together the achievement and the budget. So LAUSD makes a budget for every school, and it's based on the children who go to that school, and we're expecting the children to come every day. When children don't come, there are less resources that come to the district.
Right.
And so we do need to ask people to remember that their parents need to help us remember attendance is a must every single day for students, and that helps us get to the achievement goals and the budget goals, and for our employees. Every time our employees make sure that their attendance is up,
adults.
that means we've got less money going to substitutes, less money being taken away from the classroom. And so we just want to remind everybody that attendance is one of the best tools we have within our reach to help schools meet those budget constraints, and it also helps us meet the academic goals that we've set.
Yeah, but also let's not forget to mention, you did mention when you started talking about the $10 million that we've lost in December, you mentioned that attendance is up in the district.
Yes.
Well, some schools are doing better.
Some schools are, and I think we're tracking that a lot better. I think Deborah Duarte's shop is doing a fabulous job tracking our attendance per district, per school. But overall, the attendance in the district is up.
Overall, of course, it's just sort of stunning to think that here
in
we
December.
are, you know, in 1 month where we didn't even have school every day.
Right, right. So is that due because folks are on vacation, they didn't get back on time, or?
Well, whatever the reason is, whether it's a vacation,
we did not have bubonic
maybe we
plague,
need to do
that's
a
for
campaign
sure.
right before we go on vacation, remind folks we have to come back and we have to make sure we're in school when school starts.
Yes.
And similar situation during our summer breaks.
I think it's like a crisis time, and so we have to remember attendance and achievement go together. But you know, it also, A+A could give us a B. That is the budget.
And our parents can certainly help us in that.
Absolutely.
In that situation.
Everyone matters. Every family matters. Every classroom matters. Every school matters.
Money matters.
Money matters,
Especially
absolutely.
now more than ever.
And yes, and as we talk to our parents, we want to also tell them about LAUSD's new teacher contract. And we want to recognize UTLA and all the teachers who voted last month to say, yes, we want change to be institutional. We want to have flexibilities at every school, just like some charter schools. And we want to make sure that parents ask, what is in that new teacher's contract and how will that affect me and my child?
Correct.
So what are some ideas to get the contract, maybe not the physical contract in front of parents, but definitely get them to understand or get to know a lot, get more familiar with what's in the contract as it affects their children.
Sure, and what's I think really important is to remember, who do the schools belong to? Right. I mean, who owns the schools? And it's the citizens, the residents of Los Angeles. Right. But who are the primary stakeholders are these parents who give us their children, not just the best of their crop, but the only ones they have. They send them to their school. Now, the people that make the decisions about major operations in the school, curriculum, whether you're going to have music or art or none of those things, whether you're going to have a math coach or a reading coach, are usually the teachers, but there are parent voices there that can join with teachers. That's another form of partnership, how they come together for decision making.
Yes, it is. And we'll be right back with Hollenbeck Middle School Assistant Principal Alex Campos and Title I Coordinator Luis Gomez.
We started rugby. It was brought to us. It's big on the East Coast right now, and we're trying to introduce it to some Southern California schools. We started out with 6 elementary schools, all in the Eagle Rock area, because we had heard that Eagle Rock actually had their own rugby league, so we wanted to get the kids kind of prepared as they get older to be familiar with the sport and just try something a little bit different than our 4 traditional sports, which are football, basketball, softball, and soccer.
We have 5 schools represented, so it's a wonderful day out, you know, for the youth to kind of get some fun in the sun. The schools are very competitive. There's some trophies up for grabs, so they definitely want to win those. But the nice thing is we encourage a good sportsmanship. There's a sportsmanship trophy as well for a boy or girl who shows those qualities. And then, of course, there's going to be 3 finals. So every team will play in a final of some sort, which is modeled on the Sevens rugby, which will be in the Olympic Games in 2016.
I never played this sport before, and it was like, I thought I would never like it, but I actually did.
After-school program like this, like Play Rugby, is vital for kids' growth in creating friends, learning about teamwork, discipline, and respect for their fellow opponents, as well as for officials.
2, 6, and
I look up to a lot of the older heads, you know, the innovators, the heads of the art movements of the past. They kept it really edgy, and like a lot of the Latin American muralists and Latin American artists, and their styles were very unique and new to their time, you know, somewhat controversial, but that's who I look up to mainly. Personally, I'm very excited about going to college. It's something new and it's something different than what I'm used to. I'm definitely going to be a little out of my element, but that's what makes it so exciting, is that, you know, it's something fresh. Well, there's so many opportunities that I think I could miss out on if I didn't go, you know? Getting into college takes planning and vision. You know, it's just like when I take a brick wall and turn it into a canvas for my art. Paintings help me realize that I've got what it takes.
Welcome back to Families Matter. Joining us now from Hollenbeck Middle School, our Assistant Principal, Alex Campos, and Title I Coordinator, Luis Gomez. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
We're so glad that there's a partnership alive and well at Hollenbeck. Mr. Campos, tell us about the relationship with City Year and what's happening there on that campus.
Well, right now I can say that City Year has played an important role at our school. They've implemented an after-school program that's been so successful with engaging students to stay after school, be safe, learn from great mentors. I think there's a staff of 18 core members that meet with them individually to assist them with homework, with even social, emotional issues. Great role models for our students. And throughout the day, they're actually positioned in the classrooms where they can actually get to know what the students' weaknesses are, and then take it into the program after school and just build on what the weaknesses are and how to identify talents if needed. There have been opportunities where, you know, we sit with them through these essential meetings called early warning indicator meetings. We're focusing on attendance, behavior, coursework, and it's amazing the personalization that takes place between the core member and the student. I mean, just sitting in one of these meetings, I recall one of the core members talking about the family dynamics at home and how there was like 7 in a 1-bedroom apartment, and knowing that kind of information just brings an understanding of what our children go through and how to empathize. And we have to first, more than anything, meet the needs of our students and see how we can help better that family situation so they become successful at our schools. And I think that with that partnership, I really believe that it's been so profound, it's been so in depth, and I consider it a good practice. Wouldn't you say, Mr. Gomez?
Yeah, I think the fact that they have similarities, that we have purpose, and they're also driven by data. So we have major accountabilities at Hollenbach Middle School. We understand our major accountabilities, and so does City Year and Diplomas Now. And I think the unique thing about City Year is that they provide that individual attention, that mentoring in the classroom beyond the academic. And I think that's what's key, because our teachers do a great job of preparing their lessons. They do a good job of differentiating their instruction. Yes. But having someone sit next to you and provide that individual support in the community that is Boyle Heights and Hollenbach Middle School, that makes a major difference for students. Just even the feeling of knowing that someone else cares to come and give service, because that's what City Year is really doing, giving service. And we understand our economic situation. We understand the budget crunch at Hollenbach Middle School, and we have to make tough decisions. But City Year at Diplomas Now is an option to bring the kind of academic, individual support that our students need in order to be successful academically.
So for parents that are watching, and even some of our school community partners, how does a partnership like this get created? How does one get a City Year onto your campus? I'm familiar with the organization. They've done a number of beautification projects in my district, but I know that they're more than just beautifying campuses. They're actually, these young people actually get sent to a school and a year of service, and they're in the classroom with the teachers. So how does that relationship get established? And then my second question is, how do you pay for it?
Yeah. So I guess just understanding that we can't do it alone. And once we reach that point, and I think we know we can't do it alone, so we start to look to see what our options are. People are standing in line to associate themselves to schools and in need. So there's organizations, there's so many out there. But City Year and Diplomas Now actually reached out to Hollenbach Middle School and came and said, are you willing to pilot this program? So from when it started at Hollenbach Middle School to where it is now, we know it's become part of the Hollenbach culture tradition, where they're part of our efforts in every level, to every degree.
How long have they been at Hollenbach? Third year?
This your third year?
And how many City Year young people do you have there?
We have 16, but the staff goes up into 20 staff members because there's different components.
20 additional bodies of
so
support.
they don't only deal with that.
Young adults.
Yes. So they provide other services beyond the City Year core member. There's a social emotional side. So there's the communities and schools component of City Year. So that's very crucial, because that component actually helps us reach out to other agencies that could bring the kind of support that at the school site we can't provide.
And I must add, though, it's not like City Year had, there are many schools in Los Angeles.
Right.
But City Year, only has so many kids to go around. But why they focus, I think, on a particular school like Hollenbach, and why you are fortunate, is because there is that culture in the school that wants to engage with entities from the outside. And I think that's very healthy. Not all schools are open to the inclusion of outsiders who, when they're there, they're going to see how you're teaching, if your campus is clean. They get to see very closely what that school culture is all about. And some people maintain a very closed atmosphere. Yeah. So you've got to be open to partnerships.
You're definitely right. That
Both
that
your
has
faculty, your students,
well, at
and your
Hollenbach
school
Middle
community.
School, we believe that we're not a sole entity in our community. We're part of a progression model from kindergarten to 12th grade
That's
and
amazing.
beyond.
You're a school
So
family.
we're a school family. And one really good example is that we're going to have our 3rd annual parent conference, and it's in collaboration with our high schools, where we feed in the majority of our students into, and that meaning Roosevelt High School, the 7 small schools now, Mendez Learning Center that has two small schools, and our feeder elementaries that we invite. So this is just, it's a symbolic event, but it's an example of that we're not alone in this, that we're looking at the student making it through high school into university, college.
So what is the financial model that you're using at Hollenbach to pay for this? Because when I've approached City Year, it does cost some resources in dollars to be able to bring them onto your campus.
Okay, so
and
we
they
have
do a
per
lot of
pupil
fundraising.
funding.
I think they're a phenomenal organization. But per pupil funding?
We have per pupil funding. We have categorical programs. We're a KIA school. So if you're familiar with KIA, we have the student to teacher ratio that sets the table for success. But it's still a challenge because then you have to prioritize. But City Year diplomas now, communities and schools, would you agree, Mr. Campos, has brought the kind of resources. It's kind of like a package deal, and they really affect us in every degree.
I believe when you start thinking about City Year and what they've brought, I mean, with the investment we've done for City Year, you're looking at about, when we looked at 100,000 for about those 20 members that come to our school and provide these services.
$100,000.
I mean, you
these are
figure the
full-time
investment
every day?
is well worth
Full-time.
it. I mean, you have to understand by being there, but if I could explain it in simple words or in a summary of personalization is key. To get to know that whole child is important. To make them successful, you have to know where this child is coming from. And I think that that's what we've learned throughout this process, how more and more the needs of our students are surfacing through members of City Year, and really connect to them. And it's about relationships, because then relationships help us understand that we need more of that. Just today, I mean, I was able to sit in an SST meeting, and
Tell
there's
me what an SST meeting is.
Student Success Team.
Okay.
And you have 2 core members talking about the input in a classroom, what's going on. It helps us create sound decisions, just to really, again, the child was unmotivated, had just moved, nameless. It's just, again, we were trying to identify what the child's needs were. And the input that City Year can provide us is essential to connecting the resources that other organizations work with communities in school. In the beginning of the school year, there's a community-based organization summit that we use as a good practice. And we invite all our agencies that will be supporting our school throughout the year. So I recommend that to all the schools
So tell
to do.
us something about how many agencies do you have?
You know, approximately about 17 agencies that can
Wow.
actually work with us in a school year.
And like, what are some of the things they do?
There's from after-school tutoring to mental health services. We have an INKI that provides mental health services. You know, the need again to fund counselors is there, but now we have clinical therapists that can go into that social emotional. And when you get these services through communities in school, it's amazing how they
That is
build a
wonderful, yeah.
network for us too. And we embrace it. We embrace it for the fact that the budget is not, it's constrained, and it allows us the flexibility to say, bring them in, help
I think
us.
what's key is that they're working alongside with you, that they understand the goals of the school,
Yes.
that they also understand the major accountabilities. And I think that builds this kind of strong partnership, and it really maximizes your resources, because there's a lot of services out there, but you gotta really look to see which ones
key.
are the ones that are you're gonna be able to
Fit.
work with, because it's an investment of time. I know the resources are scarce, but investment of time is what's key to
So
me.
the 17 additional resources or partners that work with your kids all have to be accountable.
Yes, we
They're all being held accountable as well. If they're partnering with your school, there's expectation.
Exactly.
Absolutely. We create memorandums of understanding. We want to make sure that it's data driven, that there's results.
So what's really important for our parents to know is that when they come to a school and there are other needs that the school maybe doesn't have the service, or we used to be able to have the nurse, the counselor, the librarian, and an LAUSD person, the parent needs to ask the question, who else can help? Right?
Absolutely.
Can I be referred to somewhere in the neighborhood?
Yes.
Is there a service? Or maybe the school has a linkages strategy. We know the Boyle Heights Learning Collaborative was so
Yes.
important in bringing people together to start talking about the needs of schools or how to partner with schools. So we need our schools to be open to the partnership. We need our parents to start asking who else can help.
Absolutely.
I think what's wonderful about all the things you shared, there was a focus on attendance, a focus on who is the child and how do we help them, right? So start with the client and figure out that Nury and I went to New York to look at community schools.
It's a
That model
concept.
of
Yes.
the whole child, the model of the school is a hub, but where do we put all the supports, right? And it
Yes.
sounds like through City Year and community in schools.
Wraparound services.
And I
Provides
think
that
Wraparound
wraparound services,
services.
yes.
the important thing is that, as almost corny as it sounds, it takes a village. But
To
this
raise a
is an
child.
example of the village. Los Angeles is a huge place, but you can break it down by neighborhood. For example, Boyle Heights is a very distinct neighborhood. And if all the adults who have a stake in Boyle Heights and those who care about Boyle Heights contribute to the development of your children, our future is going to be assured. Certainly, so that the adults that work in the schools, maybe they don't work there, but their partnership with people that care and that work there and that are willing to provide some value to the school and to the children, I think demonstrates the village kind of effect that we want to see throughout all of
And
our
I'm
schools.
trying to get a visual of how this works. So the 17 partners that you work with, are these a combination of referrals, or is also a combination of having the adults actually provide the service on campus? How does that work?
Again, at the beginning of the school year, we're so fortunate to, again, partner with communities and schools. We do keep track of who's been helping us and understand what's been successful throughout the years. And we start identifying, we're in a PLE system, a personalized learning environment system. We start understanding what agency can benefit certain, so there's no overlapping of agencies doing that same service.
It's coordinated.
It's coordinated well, and it's an opportunity to target everyone. We just want to make sure that everybody can meet a need and benefit. I mean, those 3 tiers that we're focusing on the tier levels. City Year practice, it's similar. The district has always implemented how to, do the universal and that specific targeted.
Yeah.
And we're fortunate to learn from these teachings to implement it and practice it and see the results. It's constant. You have to continuously understand what's working and what's not when we're trying to help our students.
But you mentioned something earlier, cultivating a relationship.
Cultivating a
Because it's
relationship.
not just it's this relationship that adults have to have with each other in a school to make
That
it
is so true.
to make it a very healthy environment for students. So teachers have to have a very good, relationship with each other, with the administration, with the parents. And then when outside partners come in, it adds a new dimension
I
to
think
this
that's key. That makes
relationship.
the difference.
So that's
Having
cultivating
That
that.
makes
having
a whole
professional humility,
difference.
I think it's what's key. That you
does that
understand that means that you're willing to work as equal partners. That you understand that you play a role, but the parents play a role. The community-based organizations play a role.
That's
And
powerful.
and I think that talking about the parent being one of the most crucial partners,
Good.
and
Parent is partner.
working alongside with them, that they're involved in our school in a meaningful way, that we can help support them create a home learning environment that's enduring, because we're not just looking at the short term, we're looking at the long term. And how do we do that? So we try to create opportunities, we invest our time. So one of the major challenges that Hollenbach Middle School faces, that our teachers face, that other schools like us face, is the budget. And an example at Hollenbach Middle School, we have a local design. It's called Meta. It speaks for itself. It's goal setting. But Meta is Maestros Ejerciendo Talleres Académicos. What that simply means is the teachers are delivering academic workshops, and they help the parents get an experience of the lens through the student. Like, what does it feel to be sitting in my English teacher's classroom? but then embedded in the instruction in these workshops is what can the parent do at home. And I think at Hollenbach Middle School, it's evident, not only because we say it, it's evident that we believe that all parents have the capacity to support their child's learning, regardless of education level.
Absolutely.
So parents, if they give us the opportunity, if they come in, and it does take skill, and it takes professional humility to do that. So you want to engage outside of the box thinking. Bring them to your faculty meeting. Bring them to every leadership meeting. Make them know that you mean what you're saying, and the progress will show. And the last 3 years, we attribute our gains to our parental involvement, engagement. Obviously, our teachers are working really hard, but the parent being one of the primary influences on the instructional core, we really believe the more parents we bring in, we like to call it the sleeping giant. If, we don't need to look beyond our parents. We could just invest our time, and when we awaken that giant, then we will have the kind of increments or gains that we're really looking for.
Talk a little bit about your gains. I always like to, especially when you've had significant gains like Hollenbach. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, you know,
brag a little bit.
we're
brag for 30 seconds and say how much you grew.
I want to
That's
say
amazing.
that the last 3 years, 65 points, 22 points last school year. Now, we
65
predict that we will improve again.
That's
Because
right.
we've refined our practices through our professional development, our approach with parents, and City Year and other community-based organizations have also refined their practices. And again, we have to do it together. We can't do it alone.
Right.
Having that shared
And
vision
that
is important.
yeah,
And
a
I
shared
think a
vision.
shared vision with our partnerships. I mean, understanding that the overall goal, college-going culture.
So
Amen.
it
Mr.
makes for
Congratulations
the
to you
village. Yes,
both. I
congratulations,
love the fact
and
that
hopefully we can come and
you're
visit your
open-minded.
Yes,
school.
you're
You're welcome.
welcome. You're
Learn a little
definitely
more
welcome.
about your hard work and how it's paying off.
I love your
Thank you.
passion.
Kids.
I love it.
Okay, and with that, we're running out of time, so I've got to say adios. So thank you
you.
for joining us on
Thank you so
Families
much.
Matter.
Thank
And
you.
please visit our website, families.lausd.net and parentaccess.lausd.net. Your involvement makes all the difference. So for Monica, Nury, our guests, see you next month. And remember, families really, really matter. Is that right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Mhm. Good night.